So, good morning, everybody. It's Marie Jenkins from Advanced Your Wellbeing, and welcome to today's Housing Week interview. And we've got the wonderful Mick Foley. How are you, Mick?
Not too bad, Marie. Nice and hot.
It is. The summer has arrived. Hooray! So it's great that you've come along. I mean, we've known each other a good couple of years now through Worcestershire Business Breakfast Club because we've both been members there. But this is the first opportunity for us to actually collaborate on something. So thank you very much for coming along.
Pleasure.
So tell me a bit more about who you are and what is it that you do?
Okay, so my name's Mick Foley. Basically, I'm a videographer, and Woman that Wonders video production drone service has been going on for about 10 years now. And I'm ex-BBC, which we'll probably get into a bit later on. So that's my background, or broadcast television. But the good thing is I can use those skills I learned there to take to my own company. So I concentrate mainly on the videoing and editing and directing and production. We've got 3 graphic artists who help do the design. I can do some, but they're really good at what they do. And I always think creators, it's good to give them their own heads because they might have a better idea than you. In fact, most of the time they do. So that's the way the team works. And what we do is we've also got a drone, which we use, which we'll talk about later on as well. And sometimes that's 1-man crew, sometimes it's 2-man crew. And that's been quite an exciting venture for us the last couple of years or so.
Fantastic, fantastic. And you mentioned about your videography and your drones, but we're also going to talk a bit more about your career, which is, when you talk through, I listened to you speaking at Worcestershire Business Breakfast Club, and you've had a huge career in TV production, all that, and hopefully we'll touch on that. But I just want to know a bit more about when did you start 1 Minute Wonders then, and what led you to have a career of your own business?
Well, so at the time I was working for, say, broadcast television, so I was doing a lot of stuff for Central Television in Birmingham, and I've moved up from London, met my future wife, so I thought I'd better spend a bit more time in the Midlands. And my main contact at Central Television had gone, so he was the one who used to get me to do all the work. The new chap who came in, he was actually doing a lot of the work himself, a lot of the directing and editing. So it's hard. It wasn't hard, but I thought I need something else as well. And I've kind of been there in broadcast for about 10, 15 years. So I thought I need to try something else. Sorry about this.
Sorry for anybody who's listening in. Mick's a popular man today.
They get it out, I think. So a friend of ours has got a very big recruitment company. She said, Mick, wouldn't it be great if every time I send an email out, a video about your company went with it. So this was a chat in the pub. So we just thought, all we need to do is make a video, embed the bottom of your emails and put a link to one of those words. So click here to see what we do. And that here became a 1-minute wonder. So we started making these videos. We thought 60 seconds is just about the right amount of time for people's attention span. We also didn't use talking heads or interviews. It's just purely visuals, and we take the company's logo, animate that, and that we thread through the video, and that tell the story of what it is. So that's how 1-minute wonders came about, really. And all sorts of stuff. 1-minute wonders came from that idea. And also at the same time, my other half's a head teacher, an ex-head teacher. I learned to be a teacher. I did a 2-year teaching course at Halesone College and Worcester Uni, because we thought, because a lot of video work, as we all know, is freelance. So we thought that would fill in the gaps. So I did a teaching degree. I taught at Halesone College, taught at Worcester University, and that's occasionally I do a bit of teaching as well, and it's great because I teach media to young and upcoming students, and also they can teach me stuff as well, because half the time they know about the latest cameras, the latest graphic packages. So in fact, one of my ex-students who does graphics for me now, so that's been quite good to give that back to him. He's doing really well in London. So that's how 1-minute wonder started.
Fantastic. And it's interesting that you say about lecturing. I was speaking to David Bosworth, who's at the Royal Agricultural University this morning, and I was saying that we've got this interview today, and that you've been doing a lot of lecturing. And what sort of course is it that you're lecturing in?
So university, it could be first years, second years, or third years. So they do a module, might be on documentary filmmaking, might be theory, might be practical, how to make corporate films. It could be experimental film. It's all sorts of things really. But what I found is, and what's good for me is, I've got the practical experience. So I can do theory as well, but a lot of lectures are academics. But because I'm practical, they can see the end product, so they can see some way of using it when they leave university. So that's been quite good for me and quite good for them, I hope. And obviously, I've got the experience to show them how to do things and how to edit, and which is very important. So hopefully it's been a good two-way conversation. And
Yeah.
I've had some nice feedback from students as they left, saying what we've done has helped them in their future careers. That's been quite good as well.
That's really nice. That's really nice. Like when I was at university, I did my degree just what was just over a year ago now. And
Yeah.
one of the students that I was on the entrepreneurial degree course with, Jake Maddox is his name, and he's gone on to set up his own videography business, specifically for the physiques industry, but also he does a lot of property. And the drone, he starts talking drones, and I said, I'll have to speak to Mick, because when it comes to drones, I know there's some really fantastic tech out there, but I know that you're more of an expert than me. But yeah, looking forward to that, because we've got Jake coming to talk at our university group in a couple of weeks, so that'll be good.
I'll try and get along to that. Be good. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's great. But anyway, going back to 1 Minute Wonders, you're very much on the sort of finger point, if you like, of innovation. How do you think, because this is our Housing Week podcast, how do you think housing sector could embrace more technologies and innovation in relation to drone tech, Mick?
Well, the thing about houses and properties are obviously very visual things. So you don't see many estate agents now who haven't got like a video of the house inside or out. There are new drones now which have come out called first-person view drones. You've probably seen the videos, which can fly through houses, so give you a point of view right around the house. They can fly through factories. They're amazing things, But the thing I think about what the drone gives you extra for the housing market is it's apart from you can see the house, you get a different view from on the ground. If you've got a big garden, if you've got a swimming pool, if you've got not necessarily just a massive house, but if you've got grounds to go with the house, it'll show you all that from a bird's eye view, which is fantastic. Gives you a different perspective. You can fly drones through houses, well, you have to be careful, but small drones will fly through houses like Mavic Minis and Mavic Airs, which I'm sure Jake knows all about. And one of the ways we've used them as well is for roof repairs. If you've got a leaking roof, so there's a house in Friar Street in Worcester, and it's an old house, listed building. So we've got a tiny drone called a Mavic Air. Sorry about technology, but anyway, it's a tiny drone, that size of your hand. You can set that up from a small back garden. It's got obstacle avoidance, so it's not going to hit anything, and it'll get some great shots of the roof. You could do 4K video. It'll do photographs, so you can blow the video up because it's 4K. You won't get any pixelation. What you can then do is you can send that video out, or photographs out to roofers and get estimates. So you might have a roofer will come in, give you a quote, but you're not sure exactly if it's the right quote. So have a look yourself to start with, and then send that video out. Normally what you do, you get a cherry picker in, excuse me, or you'd put scaffolding up. It costs a lot more money, but obviously you might do that eventually. But as an initial thing, I think it's quite good to use for that reason. Also, obviously, church roofs, it's great for that because they're old. There's lots of lead flashing up there, might get leaks, so it's quite good for that. Another innovation is for not so much housing, but it could be housing, but you can get software out there which can map roofs, so it can map any leaks, any cracks, any holes. So you often use the software. Say you've got a big factory roof of hundreds of square feet, you can send the drone up there. It'll take photographs of each square foot, put those photographs into your digital software, and it'll give you a big map of that area. From that, you can work out where your holes are on the roof, any rust spots, and you can obviously it's much cheaper than sending it 4 or 5 people. So that's another innovation of drones, drone mapping, really. So there's
Absolutely.
lots of
So,
different, yeah.
when I worked in housing, the asset management team were, compiling their planned works programs, looking at roofing and things on their estates and like more capital investment works. And the drone technology could be fantastic. But I'm also thinking, so my hat was community support and care when I was in housing.
Right.
And I'm thinking, actually, there's lots of opportunities there. So I'm thinking, like, we used to do neighbourhood walks, whereas we could have an appointed place for a housing officer, for example, send the drone to do their area, to pick up any ASB, any environmental issues. So there's
Great idea.
opportunities there.
Yeah, there are so many applications once you start thinking about them, and also, again, if you're building new houses, that you could do fly past and work in progress shots to show how the buildings, that might be from marketing managers, just to show that the company they're working for, listen, this is how it's going great, blah blah blah. Again, not housing, but we did some shots of the QE for a company. They've got a whole new wing being built there, so we did some work in progress shots for the company there, which was useful. And again, it's just a thing you can't, again, from above, sometimes you don't know what you're going to see when you send the drone up, and it's just a real surprise what you see. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good, but it's just a great tool, for us anyway. So
I think it's fascinating. So I'm just thinking that, like thermal imaging from a community safety perspective as well. We did some work with our local policing team, in relation to drug prevention and all that type of
yeah,
thing. So we did lots of, we had sort of thermal imaging, but there's, like you said, there's lots of different ways in which you could use your technology.
yeah, the thermal imaging is obviously great for spotting leaks and pipes and things. The cameras are quite expensive, it's a bit more specialist, but it could definitely be done, yeah. So you need probably more of a specialized drone for that, but it can definitely be done, yeah.
Yeah,
Once
yeah,
you start,
interesting.
again, coming from your perspective, Marie, because you're not a dronester, as we call ourselves, you, again, like our creatives, you look at things differently. So it's quite good to get different perspectives about how you can use drones,
Yeah,
like your ideas there. So, so yeah, it's open feast really. You can do anything with them really. I think, yeah.
absolutely. I can think of a number of different opportunities for housing officers as well.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
fantastic. So, what sort of, can you give us some examples of the projects? You've mentioned a few of what you've done in housing. So, specifically, you mentioned about drainage and things. Have you?
We've done that also, like examining like leaking roofs, things like all metal roofs as well. Andrew Grant estate agents, we've done some videos for them, just flyovers of houses and their grounds. Those tended to be big houses down in Gloucestershire. So again, houses with swimming pools, houses which look great from the air. And then we've done stuff for small estate agents in, in Pershore. Johnson's estate agents done a bit of work for them as well. And again, I think what I said earlier on, it might not just be the house, it might be the area the house is in. So it might be that maybe you've got a new housing estate going in Pershore or Evesham, you get the drone shots to establish the town it's in, the countryside, and that locates the house in the area. So it's quite good for that as well. And then again, we've done some roof surveys as well, of some big factories and things like that out in Herefordshire. Also, there's, I suppose, the most infamous house we've done it's not a it's a tree house, which is a place over in Herefordshire called Treopia, and
Oh, yeah.
not necessarily housing associations, but they've got 2 tree houses built on their land, and they're bespoke tree houses. We've done a couple of videos for them as well. They're slightly different houses, but they're still houses, So it's quite
Yeah,
more for
I like
tourism.
that idea.
Yeah. So that's another side of it we've used before. Excuse me.
Well, yeah, you can use it from a marketing perspective then, really.
That's at marketers and touring, So maybe you might have an Airbnb somewhere, or might have a house you're letting by the coast or something. You could use it for that as well, You have to be a bit careful on licenses. Obviously, you're supposed to do it commercially. You're supposed to have a commercial license. It's all changed in the next 6 months or so. So licenses are going to be given out by the size of your drone. So we've got a small drone, you won't need a license. There's still rules to follow. You won't need a license, but if you've got a big commercial drone like we've got, you need a proper license. So it's worth looking into that as well if you're thinking of, especially for Jake. who I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Well, Jake was saying to me, that's his next step. He's looking at a drone license. But can you talk me a bit more about that then? I mean, I know you've got your license. How long does that take? What's involved?
Yeah, so before I again, we were lucky for our drone. We managed to get a grant from Worcester County Council to buy the drone. That's through the Worcester Leader program. A lady called Louise Blunt sort of found the funding for us, and we had to go through lots of loops and whole hopes to get through to get the money. So that meant we could afford quite a big drone. So I applied for a course out in Telford run by a company called Ruster, and it was run by like ex-fighter pilots for the RAF. Our instructor was called Charlie McGee, the handsome Scotsman, and so he did the 2.5-day theory course. At the end of that, there's like a theory test, optimal, what do you call it, a multiple choice questions theory test.
Yeah.
And later on, you have to do a flight test, a half-day flight test with him. At the time, I didn't have a drone, so I was purely theoretical. And on the course, I met several people, and one chap who helped me out an awful lot. So he had the same drone. I bought the same drone as him. Then later, he bought a different drone. So he took me out on flying lessons before my test, and eventually came to the test and passed the test. Then after that, you have to submit a 60-page or 100-page operations manual to the CAA, Civil Aviation Authority, which is the hardest thing to do. It's very technical, and then they send that back. And if you get within 2 or 3 attempts, you don't have to pay any more money. If you fail in more than twice, you have to pay an extra fee. The course was about 200 quid, I think, and the test was about another 50, and the CAA thing was about 170. So it's about 500 quid all around, really. You can do tests online as well, and there will be cheaper ways to do it. But I think it's worth going with a reputable company if you're going to get your license. Definitely worth going. Spending a bit of money on it, really. Because it can last you for a year, and you'll get your money back within 2 or 3 shoots. So it's definitely worth doing it.
Yeah. So every year, what happens? Do you have to do another test, or what happens with that?
Every year you have to renew your license, but every time the CAA make a change to the laws, you'll get those changes through. So you have to apply those laws to your operations manual. Also, you have to put down a log of where you filmed in your operations manual. You're supposed to do, I think it's 2 hours a month. So you have to log all your flights, any accidents you have, and build any new directives from the CAA into your operations manual. If you get a new drone, that has to go on there as well. So there's all the specs for the new drones. So it's quite a complicated thing. And that's
but I can understand the importance of needing to do all of that. So it's from a safety aspect, I assume.
And before each flight, you should do a site reconnaissance, and you should fill out health and safety form as well, so that everybody knows what you're doing. And obviously, we insure our drone by the hour for each flight. That way, it's obviously cheaper, but we should really insure it every time. You never know what's going to happen. There's so many things that can happen up there. It's just like every time I lift off or land, my heart's still in my mouth. So
insurance-wise, what sort of insurance do you need to have then?
So there's a
business.
They're called Flock and Moonrock, and so you just insure your drone by the hour. And there's specifics on the form which tell you what to do, but it'll insure your drone for. Ours insured for £3.5 grand, say. Indemnities, I think it's 2 million public indemnity. So it's just to cover you, really. But it's very useful. Even if I'm just flying, practicing, I'll still insure it because we've had red kites attack our drone, we've had crows, we've had buzzards. So it's really good just to do it just in case.
I suppose they think it's another bird, and I'm wondering what's going on.
Yes, getting on their territory, so they don't like them very. And seagulls, we did a shoot in Birmingham. It was quite a big shoot. There were 2 people on the crew, myself and a chap called Luke, 3 observers, and we shot in, I think it's St Mark's, St John's Square, right in the centre of Birmingham, was the church. Set the drone off there. No seagulls around at all. As soon as the drone's in the air, it got mobbed by gulls. We thought, oh, it's going to come down. Luckily, we got away with it, And I did some filming in Beauty for the festival, and I filmed from the other side of the river where there's some offices, and I filmed from their car park. As soon as it got in the air, a flock of pigeons just circled the drone. I thought, oh, here we go again, you know. But so far so good. It hasn't come down, you know. So
You do live in a beautiful part of the world there, Mick, in Bewdley.
a nice spot. Yeah.
It's lovely for drone shots. I've seen a number of your videos on YouTube, and they're brilliant. But if you wanted to buy a drone and start, where would people benefit from looking, and
Several
what's
places
best to have?
to start with. I don't get too technical here, but get small drones called the best company is probably DJI. They're a Chinese company, and DJI Mavic Mini. So there's a Mini, and there's a Mavic Air, which is a small one, and there's a Mavic Pro 2, which is a professional one. But you can buy them from the DJI website or buy them from Jessop's. But if you look on Facebook Marketplace, there's always loads of drones secondhand there. And it's not bad to buy from there, because most people who are on there, they'll say you've had a crash. Also, they're usually buying a new drone to upgrade their own one. So that's where I'd look first of all, Facebook Marketplace. Obviously, go on eBay as well. But if you've only got a few £100, that's the place to try. I'd try a small drone to start with, and but just practice and practice and practice, and eventually you'll get the hang of it, you know. And again, for me, because I'm getting on a bit, I've never played computer games. So most young people play games. So there's two joysticks. They'll be great at picking up how to fly it, you know. So if you play computer games, you'll probably be very good at flying a drone.
I totally agree with that, Mick. My daughter's boyfriend Jay, he he come round and let me try his drone, and it ended up in the next door neighbour's garden. But I had great fun playing with it, and I got to meet my neighbour because I had to go and rescue the drone.
Oh God, that sounds brilliant.
But like you said, kids are so sort of used to using their hands, be it on mobile phones and gaming and all that.
Yeah.
That
So it's great. Sorry, Marie, go on.
Go on, you're okay.
I was going to say, it's great for flying. Obviously, the difficult bit really is probably using the camera, because it's you kind of it's good if you've used a Stella's camera as well for composition when you're up there, because you're not just flying, you're looking to get your shots. So, and you can do photographs, obviously, we can do moving pictures. So it's kind of quite good to have if you can, just gen up on how good photographs are taken or how good videos taken. That's a good way to learn as well, because you can do it just for flying for fun, but if you want to take photographs and video, you need to kind of look at that side of things. But it's not just flying the drone, it's composing pictures, it's getting a smooth flight, it's how the picture's going to edit together, you know, because usually a drone shot lasts 2-3 seconds, so you can be up there for 6 hours but only get six flights. You only use about 30 seconds of that stuff, so it's worth trying to work out what you're going to do before you go up, what shots you need to make it successful when you come down in terms of editing. That's a quite good thing to work out as well.
Yeah, so you need to learn how to fly the drone, and then also how to use the material that you capture, and also plan how you're going to capture it. There's a lot involved, actually, Mick. It just shows that you're multi-talented.
Well, I don't know about that, but it's planning your shots when in the air. So it's like editing, really. If you're out filming, you know which shots you're going to use to make the edit. You always shoot extra because you don't know how the shots are going to turn out. But it's the same with the drone. I'd say have 5 or 6 key shots you want for your client, whatever. But then shoot extra, because the edit might turn out different to the way you thought it was going to be. You know. So, but obviously, it's like anything, isn't it? The more planning you do, the better it's going to be. Really, we all know that. So be prepared, and be prepared. So if you can do that. And the other thing,
and that technology to capture the videos and take the pictures, that's all built into the drones that you've mentioned.
That's all built in. There's on the drones, there's like a little SD card, micro SD cards that fits into there. You format the card. Then what you do, you connect your iPhone or iPad to the controller, and then that'll give you calibrate your drone. You make sure your GPS is working okay, because that flies your drone for you, unless you want to go menu. And then you can watch it all on your screen. But from your screen, you can control manual exposure. You can only fly 400 feet, up to 400 feet in this country. Then its drone stops, and you're supposed to fly within 500 meters of where you are. You have to be able to see the drone at all times. There's all sorts of rules as well. But once you've got your iPad on your iPhone, you can see what the drone's seeing. So it's great. You can work out what you want. The other thing is there's some very good apps out there, because drones are very weather dependent. I think it's about 100 good days a year to fly a drone. So it's not just the rain, it's the wind. Wind can bring down the drones. There's a couple of really good apps out there. I can so I can tell what the apps are, and they'll tell you whether it's too windy to fly or too wet or whatever. So it's worth looking at those apps as well. That we use those to guide us really. It's not just looking at the weather forecast. You need the specific drone apps to help you with that. So they're used for tips as well. So
Wow. It's really interesting, Mick, and all of the questions that I got to ask you today, we've navigated, but it's been really useful, I think, especially for somebody who's starting out like Jake. I mean, his business is called Spectra Visuals, and he's doing fantastic, but it's great for entrepreneurs who are looking to go into this space that can listen in today and get some really fantastic tips from you. Just to sort of wrap up our interview today then, Mick, tell me a bit about, because you've had such a huge career in TV production and you know, you've worked in lots of different roles in directing and all that type of thing. Now you've moved into videography and drones. Who inspires you? Where are you going?
How do I get? That's a good question. Well, I think Bob, what I do is I kind of try to watch a lot of short films, feature films, books. I like reading books written by filmmakers. There's a chap called John Borman. He's 87 now. And he's like an English stroke Irish film. He lives in Ireland now. But I just read his memoirs, and it's really inspirational to read because it tells you how he started off as an editor at the BBC and he worked his way up. He's made some sort of Oscar-winning films. Deliverance he made, and Point Break, and Point Break, I think it was. Hope and Glory. And that's how I get my inspiration, really, by just watching other people's work and reading about them, really, as well. You know, I really like to read a book by a filmmaker. And they always say to improve your filmmaking, you should always read criticism or read what other people have done to get inspired or to further your knowledge. There's also there's a magazine called Sight and Sound I read every month, which has got articles, like it's got reviews, but it's articles by filmmakers, or it's got stuff about film festivals. Kathy and I try to get London Film Festival every year if we can. So I just try to, it may not seem like it's like commercial videography, but all those things help your understanding of how films are put together. So that's the way I can look for my inspiration, really, yeah. And obviously certain people as well have inspired me, you know, certain people. I mean, the thing about, it's not so much now, the thing about filmmaking, it used to be a really collaborative process. So like I mentioned to you earlier on, BBC, you had a cameraman, soundman, and a spark around filming. So, and I was a director, you had the whole team working together. Now it's quite more difficult, much more difficult because you're by yourself. And you get most of your ideas, I feel, when you're out with other people. So I've met a drone operator. I was on the course. He's taught me a lot. He's doing stuff now for the Commonwealth Games. And every time I meet someone, whatever age they are, I just kind of I might take away one tip from that shoot with them. And the funny thing is, dronesters, as we call ourselves, we're very sociable people. There's another chap who does a lot of videos around here called Callum Bake. He does a lot of houses and stuff, and he asked me to do a couple of shoots for him because he couldn't make his license now, it was overdue. So I did a couple of shoots for him. Consequently, went out on a drone shoot together, and I learned some stuff off him. We also did a shoot in Birmingham together. He shot all the stuff inside Birmingham University. I shot the outside stuff. So I learned stuff off him. So every time I go out with someone, I get inspiration like that as well. So you never stop learning. You know? I know it's a cliche, but you never stop learning, really. That's the thing, and that's probably the key to it, I guess. You know.
That's very true. And I think you're being very modest, Mick, because you've had huge success with your short films as well. You've been on TV with yours.
Well, you know, a little bit, I suppose, yeah. So.
Well, it's been lovely to chat with you, Mick. How can people get in touch with you?
The best way is probably go to the website, have a look at it's called 1 Minute Wonders Video Production Drone Service. The website is www.oneminutewonders.co.uk, and all the phone details are on there. There's a form you can fill in. Just send me an email. I'll help you wherever I can.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully now we've got the summer, you'll be able to go out and do more it's better conditions, weather conditions for you to be flying your drones around Bewdley and the surrounding areas.
As long as it doesn't melt.
It's been lovely to chat with you today, Mick. Thank you for joining me.
Marie, thanks a million for having me on. I've really enjoyed it.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Bye now. Bye-bye.